Alright guys, in this build here, I'm going to be building a Smitty sled for ice fishing, and the cost of this build is going to be somewhere probably right around $70, which really isn't a bad price at all. And the things I got here, I paid about almost $20 for these skis, and the plan is to remove the set of bindings off on here. I've got some PVC, black PVC blocks that I'm going to affix onto the ski on the front, another one on the back, and I'll kind of go into detail about what I got going on right here too as we go. And we're going to be using EMT, and I'll be using these 9-degree EMTs, and you can see I got some eyelet stuff I put in there, and I'll kind of go over that too as we go. And I'm using regular EMT pipe. This is 3/4 inch EMT pipe. Each pipe that I purchased was about $7 each. Each one of those EMT 90 degrees were $7 each. So you add it all up and a little bit of hardware for some screws and bolts and whatever, it comes out right about $70. So I think it's going to be a pretty good project, so stick around. Alright guys, so I'm going to go over kind of what I got right here. So here's the basics that you're going to need. You're going to need some screws, and what I have right here are 1/4-20 flatheads. Let's see if I can get a better view. There you go, 1/4-20 flatheads, and we'll be using those to affix the base to the ski. A 1/4 inch drill for the 1/4 inch size for a smooth slip fit, and then a chamfering tool so I can break a chamfer on the back side for that screw, so that way it's recessed up on the bottom side of that ski. And I have a 3/4 inch EMT, and what I did here ahead of time was I drilled a hole in there, and you can kind of see in there I've got a 1/4-20 thread on that, what this is. What I did was I used a 1/4-20 nylon locking nut and in the inside, and then I used another standard nut on this side right here, and I put a little red Loctite on there. You can kind of see I can get a wrench inside there, put a wrench on here, crank it down, and I time those to a 90 degree to what this right here is, so that way when it sits in this thing you'll see why. So it gives you a way to affix your straps on there, and if you want to move it you can still. So I've got 4 of those and an eyelet on every single one of those right there. And then here I have it's a black PVC block, and this right here measures about 2 inches by about 4.5 inches, and it's probably about, I don't know, 3 inches tall, 3.5 inches tall. It doesn't really matter what you want to run for hardware on here. I just decided to go with 1/4-20 flatheads here, and what that's going to do is once I get these bindings off the skis, we're going to drill out the skis right here, and we'll be using this template gauge right here to clamp onto that. So now the first thing we want to do is we want to get rid of these bindings on here. They don't need to be on there at all for this project here, so let's get those things removed. All right, everything's off of it now, so now we can go ahead and get ready to begin doing the installation of the bases that are going to go on here. Now I'm ready to put these blocks here on the ski. I got the bindings completely off, and so now we're kind of ready to go. I want to kind of go over what I have going on right here. What I have here is a PVC block, and it's got 4 1/4-20 holes in the bottom side of it, and then I drilled a hole in there for a slip fit for the EMT pipe to go in here. Now I put this in at about a 20-degree angle, you can see as my fingers kind of going in there, and the reason is because when this thing goes on the ski, I want to have one forward and one leaning in the backwards direction. And the idea is this, so that way once everything is assembled in there and the weight is on there, nothing can really pull out because I'm going to have everything kind of bound together by using bungee cords that hold these EMTs on there. So the plan now is to get these things here fixed on there. And to do that, I've also laid out a 1/4-20 bolt pattern here on this aluminum jig that I made. And that actually matches up with the same bolt pattern that you see on this right here. So that's the same alignment right there. So I'm going to take this jig, put this on the ski here, take some cant twists, clamp that on there, then drill through the aluminum jig in and through this skier here, and then I'll put the 4 holes in there. Then when I'm done with that on the 4 holes, I can flip it over, take the chamfer tool, and I can chamfer the back sides here. That way I get myself the recess that I need for that flathead right here. All right, so here's the placement. I'm thinking that this layout right here is going to work out pretty good with the ski. This is a 140 ski here, and you can kind of see that from where the crown comes up, it's almost matching where the front of the sled is here, and it just passes a little bit to the back right here. So it's a pretty good size ski. I mean, you can go larger if you want, probably be better, but I have to deal with this size of a ski because I have to make it work in the back of my truck. Anyway, so now that I've got the layout of where this block and this block is going to be in relation to that ski, now I can actually verify that everything's going to work out in relation to this bridge setup, to the height and the placement to where it's going to wind up having this ice house rest on it. Now, I do have these things in a hole at a 20-degree angle, so I have to compensate. And I think I was going to come up roughly about 10 inches. So that's going to be in this direction right here, that location. I don't want to run that block further, because if I do, then I risk the ice house falling off, falling back this way and then rolling off the top bar, because that bar is going to, like I said, at a 20-degree angle, it's going to be sitting right about there. Same with this one. It's going to be at a 20-degree angle this way, and that's where that bar is going to be. So it's going to be somewhere in relation to about right here at the end of the sled, and this one should be somewhere in relation right here on the front of the sled. So the measurement I've got on this, from center line to center line, runs right about 27 inches. It's just a ballpark, as long as I make sure that this one and the other one are identical. And then from the center of this block right here to the very back of the ski edge to the center is 12 inches. So I'll use that information right there to lay out the position where these have to go. Do this for one ski, match it to the other, and everything should be good right there. And then it's just a matter of getting your EMTs cut to length, put together, and then we can rest this thing up on top of this. All right, so I got my mark laid out here for where this is gonna go. Now I can go ahead and lay out this. I've got that marked out right here to match the layout for the bolt pattern. And I created that mark right there, 12 inches back. So now I can use that template mark as a way to see where my start's gonna be at. I'll follow that off a little bit right here so I can see it better. So my lineup on the line to line is right there. That's gonna put this right here in the position right there. Ballpark. Pull that back. And the face of this right here, 12 inches. That's what I want. So now what I'll do is I'll kind of line this thing up as best I can, eyeballing. It doesn't have to be perfect, just get as close as you can. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a clamp, and then we'll drill this thing out. There, So that's going to give me my location where I want to have this one. Now the next is going to be to come up to 27 inches and do it again. I have a line here now. I'm going to match that line up with this one in that spot. Clamp it, shoot the holes in there. That'll give me the 4 holes I have here to the 4 holes on here. It'll be at the relationship of 27 inches, center to center. There. Now I've got 4 holes here, 4 holes here, with the template location that matches up with this. Now all I have to do is chamfer the back side of this to get below that. So that way none of these bolt heads are actually riding on the ground and getting scraped up or whatever. And then you can at least get them back out. So that'll be the next thing. All right. Now the plan is to take this flathead and use that as a gauge to determine how deep I can go with this chamfer tool. That's pretty good. Got just below flush right there. Might see if I can go just a smidge further. That's really good. I can't even catch it. It's probably maybe a 16th below that face right there. So now I've got 4 holes here, drilled, chamfered, and we're below flush. So that's these 4 here so far. Now the other end is for here. I've already got transferred for the holes on there. I'll put chamfers on those, and I'm going to repeat the process that I did to this one to the other ski, and I'll catch you right back. All right, so now I've got both skis done. I've got the holes in place for the skis on the bottom. So now it's time. I can take the blocks and get those affixed onto the ski. All right, so now I've got my blocks underneath my ski. Everything's in alignment now. Now I'm ready to drive the flatheads in place. And this will get them all tight and fixed in. Once I got everything already kind of started, this gives me just a verification that everything's lining up good before I start driving everything home on this thing. So now it's good. Crank them in. There we go. Now I've got one ski right down with the blocks. I'll do the same with the other side, and I'll catch you right back in a minute. All right, so now I got both skis all finished up. The blocks are already in place, and you can see what I have going on here. So that sits at about a 20-degree angle on this one right here. You're gonna find that the back one also does the same thing going backwards. So now I just need to take and cut the length from what's inside this block right here up to about 10 inches. I'll cut that off, and then I can fix this EMT in there, and I'll do the same for this one here, and that one there. And once I get those things all cut off, then I can affix this EMT in place, and then I can cut the width of the part that's gonna go in this place right here. That's gonna transition across to this one. So the first thing we need to do now is get the lengths cut right here. So that'll be next. All right, so now that I pulled that measurement back, I have a length of 9 3/8, and that gave me the distance that I needed to have that 10-inch mark when I measured all that out. So I'll cut this one here at 9 3/8, and then I'll cut 3 more, so it gives me a total of 4. And keep repeating. All right, so now I've got 4 of these cut, all equal length. Now, you'll notice that there's quite a bit of sharp edges around that right there. That's gonna leave a hell of a burr right there, and you don't wanna cut yourself. So it's important to get yourself a set of files. I have a round and a flat here. This is a smooth, they're both smooths. So just take and roll that around the edge right there. Bust that burr off of there, so that way you can't catch yourself on that or anything. You'd hate to injure yourself. And then just make sure there's nothing on there. And then if you don't have a round file like this to go in there and clean that out, you can use these right here. They do work. They're not ideal. Maybe you want to come back and just catch it with a little bit of sandpaper if you want to, but that'll get it fairly clean. I can still feel some edges on there. So that's where having these round files actually works pretty good. There, feels pretty good. Could let your kid play with that. But now you gotta do the other end. All pieces have to have that done, so. There we go. Now we're partially done right now. So now we've got everything figured out the way we wanna have everything. So we've got this thing here set up so we got the rears going backwards and the front's going frontwards on there. And now what I wanna do is get the determination of where this location is right here, the width of that right there. And to do that, we'll take a measurement width of the ice house, and then we'll make sure we have that in here. And I wanna make sure that whatever the ice house is, I have actually more on here, so that way we're not too small. All right, so what I see is I got 29 inches to the edge right here. I got 29 inches. And I also know that once my EMT comes in there, it stops right about here. So I'm gonna wind up gaining a little bit too. So I wanna make sure I have enough length to bridge across this, still span in there, compensate whatever width I have on here to achieve something greater than that 29-inch mark. Now, if I take and pull a measurement of the upper frame, it's gonna be a ballpark right around 36 inches. I think 36 inches is gonna be pretty good. Because that way I can actually get all the way across this thing and bungee straight down into it. And if I ever get into a sled that might be a little bit wider, that works also. And if I need to make it smaller, I can always make it smaller, but if I cut it too small, I can't make those pipes any longer. So I think I'm gonna go with 34 inches is what I'm gonna go with. Plus I got the addition for each one of these on the lengths, which is gonna open me up to probably right around 36 inches, maybe. 35, 36. So 34 will be the span I'm gonna make these two bars. All right, so now the plan is to get two pieces at 34 inches. So take my measurement here, 34. I'll make my cut. All right, so now I wanna put the braces on here. And to do that, I'll put my EMTs on the ends, loosen them everything out, make sure they all fit right. Next, take and do the install on the bridge piece across. That looks pretty good. And these have I believe it might be probably maybe a 1032 screw on each one of these things here. And if for some reason, if they don't hold as well as you want them to, I'd probably recommend pulling the screw out, putting a smaller size drill bit through there than what's in that hole. That way you can take and drive that screw through the EMT pipe and it will create a bite into that pipe. If you go too big with it, it's just a slip fit, it'll be a little rattly. So make sure if you decide you want to go and fix this even tighter, just go in there with the drill bit, pop a hole in there, just a little bit smaller than what that thread would be, and then drive that through, and that'll put a thread bite right into this. And for some reason, if I don't like this at all, and there's a little bit of movement in there from some heavy activity, what I might actually do is throw a spotted weld on there, but that's kind of the worst case scenario. So I'm gonna give this a shot first. I think it's all gonna work out really well. There. As you can see, I can lift this thing up. It's not coming up, and that's the reason why I put those things on a degree angle. So now what I've decided to do is I've got a spot where the bolt goes in there, but there's a little bit of movement in there, and I don't want that necessarily. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just drill it out with a bit that's a bit smaller, just a little smaller than what the thread size is of this. That way I can drive it into the galvanized pipe. Right out. Reinstall the bolt that goes in place. Get that torqued in. Now it's really good and rigid. There's no movement. I've already done the side, done the top, so there's no movement in there. It doesn't want to go nowhere, so I'm going to repeat that process all the way around. All right, so now the next thing we want to do is drill holes in the ski tips on each one, so that way we can run this polypropylene line through. Okay, now that the holes are done, now the next thing you want to do is take your line and make sure you run that in from the bottom. By running it in from the bottom, what that gives you the ability to is when you get your knot tight on the top side and you're pulling, you're always pulling from the upward direction like this, so it keeps your ski tips up over all this snow. If it goes the other way, it may want to help, cause the ski to want to pull down a little bit, digging in. So the idea is to keep the ski up as much as you can. So once you get that up, just give it one good tie. Then burn off the end so that way it stays connected. There, that'll all melt in good so it won't pull apart. Then pull out the desired length that you're looking for on the end, and then come back around the other side, tie that end off, and we should be good to go. Well guys, that's it. So everything's all put together. It seems to be pretty strong, pretty durable. It's easy to collapse and take apart. Once I have one section out, it's pretty rigid, Packs up really easy. As you can see, it's pretty easy to pack up. You can throw that right in the back of your truck. Take and wind the rope all around, and everything stays together. Throw that in the back of your truck, you're good to go. Now you got yourself a portable Smitty Sled when you're ready to use it. Easily sets up. And now, works pretty good. Everything runs independent right here, one from one from the other, so you have plenty of room for this whole thing to go over all kinds of different bumps, obstacles, and stuff like that if you're going down slopes and uneven surfaces, ice, whatever it might be. But yeah, pretty durable. I weigh probably about 190 pounds, so I can stand completely, and I'm right in the middle of it, so I don't have any problem with it. It's gonna work out pretty good. Lift it up, and that's the reason I put everything at a degree, so that way, because if it's straight up and you lift up for some reason, these poles would want to come out vertically like this. So that's the advantage of keeping everything at an incline. Then when you tie everything down, it holds everything good and tight. If there was ever a reason that things did move, it's nothing to throw on an eyelet, whether it be on the ends or the side, and you can bring it up, bring a strap around, keep everything good and tight down. But I think everything's gonna work out pretty good. So now let's get the ice house up on this thing and give it a pull on the snow. So all right, as you can see now, everything is up, it's good. It's sitting up plenty high. You could probably go lower if you wanted to, but I went this high, just figuring in case I get into some deeper snow. But you know, kind of decide as I go. All I gotta do is cut off the end of here if I want to lower it, but it's up high enough. I think it's pretty good. It seems to work pretty good without much effort. I mean, one finger, I can pull it. That's not a problem, works out pretty good. Alright guys, so that's it for the Smitty Sled. I hope you liked it. I hope it works for you. It seems to be working pretty good for me. So all in all, it probably cost me, like I said, roughly right around $70 to build this. Prices are going to change as things kind of go, but for me right now, that's about what it costed me. So I like it. It's going to work out pretty good. I'll use it a little bit and see how it goes if I want to make any changes, whether it be shortening it if I don't need that height, or if I want to add anything else into it, you know, potentially. But it's a good place to start right now. So if you're looking to build a Smitty Sled and you want to build it cheap, definitely check out some of these secondhand shops. Pick up yourself a set of skis. I didn't pay very much money for those. I got the new EMTs and all that stuff at my local hardware store. And plastic and stuff, I just had that stuff laying around. You can pick up that at hardware stores too. All the handwork and stuff I did there, I did that all ahead of time. And I just wanted to kind of speed things up so I can kind of go through the process of how to build a Smitty Sled as you go. Not so much in the detail, just making the minor things, but you can do that kind of stuff in the block and net kind of as you go to however your liking might be. Like I said, you can use plastic, you could use aluminum of some kind if you wanted to. Even wood would work pretty good too. Having a little bit of length in here helps keep everything more in line and stable so it's not twisting so much, and that seems to work pretty good. If there was ever an issue down the road where things started coming out and moving more, I could take out these screws because they're not very long. They only go in maybe about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch maybe into this, but I could run something deeper in there if I needed a little bit more strength out of it. And if I felt I needed more strength for something because this is getting loaded up, I could actually add another bar across here to that and strengthen it even more. Because you can add more EMTs in there, cut it, add a piece in there, however you want to do it. So you can keep making changes as you go. So what I did is kind of my choice. I just kind of thought it up in my head how I wanted to do it. And all in all, it worked out pretty good. So I appreciate you tuning in. I can't wait to get out on the kayak. I've got a couple ideas out there. I want to put together some little improvements and stuff like that that are like this, but they're all kayak related. So yeah, do me a favor and hit that like, hit that subscribe, and share this. It'd be greatly appreciated. I had a lot of fun building this, and hope when you get a chance to do yours too, you do also. Thanks a lot.